y'all. Welcome as we continue in the book of First Chronicles together. Today we're going to be reading chapter 26, which brings us to the gatekeepers, the treasurers, and the miscellaneous officials and their families. The Korahites and Merarites served as gatekeepers, but not the Gershonites. The gatekeepers played an important role, but mostly went unrecognized. When they were noticed, it was typically because someone needed something from them. We'll go ahead and start in verse 1 of chapter 26 together. These are the divisions of the gatekeepers. From the Korahites there was Meshelemiah, son of Kor, of the family of Abiasaph. The sons of Meshelemiah were Zechariah the oldest, Jediel the second, and Zebediah the third, Jethniel the fourth, Elam the fifth, Jehohanan the sixth, and Eliahanai the seventh. The sons of Obed-Edom, also gatekeepers, were Shemaiah the oldest, Jehozabad the second, Joah the third, Sakar the fourth, Nathaniel the fifth, Amiel the sixth, Issachar the seventh, and Paluthai the eighth. God had richly blessed Obed-Edom. Obed-Edom's son Shemaiah had sons with great ability who earned positions of great authority in the clan. Their families were Othni, Raphael, Obed, and Elzabad. Their relatives Elihu and Semachiah were also very capable men. All of these descendants of Obed-Edom, including their sons and grandsons, 62 of them in all, were very capable men, well qualified for their work. Meshulamah's 18 sons and relatives were also very capable men. Hosa of the Merari clan appointed Shimri as the leader among his sons, though he was not the oldest. His other sons included Hilkiah the second, Tabaliah the third, and Zechariah the fourth. Hosa's sons and relatives who served as gatekeepers numbered 13 in all. So here we have the Korathites listed in these opening verses. Obed-Edom was described as blessed in 2 Samuel 6 as well as 1 Chronicles 13 because the Ark of the Covenant was in his home for 3 months, and where the presence of the Lord is, there is blessing. 62 capable men were descended from Obed-Edom. The total number of descendants listed is 93, and 2/3 of them were from Obed-Edom. Obed-Edom got to this point because for 3 months he was surrounded with the presence of the Lord. The ark is a sign of the covenant that God made with his people, a record of God's dealings with their rebellion, as well as an instrument of communion between God and his people. God's presence and the tablets of God's law were present in Obed-Edom's house, and it ended up bringing him great blessing. Obed-Edom was blessed significantly beyond his brothers. We'll go ahead and continue in verse 12. These divisions of the gatekeepers were named for their family leaders, and like the other Levites, they served at the house of the Lord. They were assigned by families for guard duty at the various gates without regard to age or training, for it was all decided by means of sacred lots. The responsibility for the east gate went to Meshelemiah and his group. The north gate was assigned to his son Zechariah, a man of unusual wisdom. The south gate went to Obed-Edom, and his sons were put in charge of the storehouse. Shuppim and Hosa were assigned the west gate and the gateway leading up to the temple. Guard duties were divided evenly. 6 Levites were assigned each day to the east gate, 4 to the north gate, 4 to the south gate, and 2 pairs at the storehouse. 6 were assigned each day to the west gate, 4 to the gateway leading up to the temple, and 2 to the courtyard. These were the divisions of the gatekeepers from the clans of Korah and Merari. Other Levites, led by Ahijah, were in charge of the treasuries of the house of God and the treasuries of the gifts dedicated to the Lord. From the family of Libni in the clan of Gershon, Jehiel was the leader. The sons of Jehiel, Jethiam, and his brother Joel were in charge of the treasuries of the house of the Lord. These are the leaders that descended from Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. From the clan of Amram, Shebuel was a descendant of Gershom, son of Moses. He was the chief officer of the treasuries. His relatives through Eleazar were Rahabai, Josiah, Joram, Zikri, and Shalomoth. Shalomoth and his relatives were in charge of the treasuries containing the gifts that King David, the family leaders, and the generals and captains and their officers of the army had dedicated to the Lord. These men dedicated some of the plunder they had gained in battle to maintain the house of the Lord. Shalomoth and his relatives also cared for the gifts dedicated to the Lord by Samuel the seer, Saul son of Kish, Abner son of Ner, and Joab son of Zeruiah. All the other dedicated gifts were in their care too. From the clan of Izhar came Kenaniah. He and his sons were given administrative responsibilities over Israel as officials and judges. From the clan of Hebron came Hashabiah. He and his relatives, 1,700 capable men, were put in charge of the Israelite lands west of the Jordan River. They were responsible for all matters related to the things of the Lord and the service of the king in that area. Also from the clan of Hebron came Jeriah, who was the leader of the Hebronites according to the genealogical records. In the 40th year of David's reign, a search was made in the records, and capable men from the clan of Hebron were found at Jazer in the land of Gilead. There were 2,700 capable men among the relatives of Jeriah. King David sent them to the east side of the Jordan River and put them in charge of the tribes of Reuben and Gad and half of the tribe of Manasseh. They were responsible for all matters related to God and to the king. The divisions of duties and the roles of the Korathites and Merarites as gatekeepers are outlined in these verses. They were tasked with guarding the temple gates, and they were in charge of the equipment. They were responsible for the temple treasuries and oversaw the contributions of the temple. They took care of the articles for temple services, as well as the furnishings, the oil, and the spices in the temple. They were responsible for mixing the spices for sacrifices, baking the bread for offerings, and setting out bread for the Sabbath. They provided music and oversaw the chambers and supply rooms. They prepared baked goods and oversaw supplies and furnishings. Obed-Edom was assigned to the south gate, and his sons oversaw the storehouses. These verses list a lot of living links. These are real people listed here who carried forth real talents, real gifts, and real callings for the Lord's purposes on this earth. Nobody is insignificant in God's kingdom. He created every single human in his image for his purposes on this earth, including you and I today. It's up to us to humbly surrender to him and his will and accept the call, accept the invitation to join him in his family. As a Christ follower, the Lord God Almighty calls us his son or daughter. He wants good things for our life. He wants us to bask in his presence and experience his blessings. He is working even when we can't see him, even when we're sleeping. He's at work for us. That is his grace. His love is eternal and never fails. We can choose to intentionally seek the Lord in every moment of every single day and let him grow our faith and lead us into his will. The journey is not always going to be easy, but it is always going to be worth it if we're willing and choosing to depend on the Lord for every single detail and trust him for every single outcome. Thanks, y'all. I hope you're having a glorious day in the Lord.